So this is a completed drawing that I used watercolor and gouache. Gouache is a opaque watercolor, and you can see a solid opaque area in the very center. It's a sort of beigey brown color. That is an opaque watercolor. There is no transparency. You don't see the white of the paper coming through. Oftentimes, it's a great way. Gouache can be used like if there's an area that you don't like, a watercolor area that say went too dark, or you were not happy with the wash quality or technique, you can go back into your drawing or design with a gouache and establish a color. And I'm making many mistakes. Came to a point where I really enjoy actually seeing the watercolor mixed with gouache areas. Creates a little more complexity and a little more contrast, playing transparency against or with opacity. So that became one of my techniques that I incorporate now in my work. But I want to talk with you and break this down just a little bit based on the last video that I showed you, where I was showing you the actual technique or process. This is a finished piece. It is a different palette that I'm working with. The last video I'm going to be working with shades of blue and greens. If I get it finished before you finish the semester out, I will show it to you finished. But this is the process that I go through. So once I've established a sketch and I've played around with some ideas, I will be refining or defining, making subtle changes in the drawing as the process develops. This doesn't happen in one session. It happens in several. And I have several drawings going on at the same time in my studio, not just one. So some are losers, some I throw out, some I put to the side, and I go back in and work on them later. But it's all a process for me. But for me, it's about, and the name of this piece is Lost and Found. And I'm establishing something of a map, a circular map movement to reference the journey that we go through when we lose and find. And I think a lot of us are experiencing quite a bit of loss right now because of the pandemic. And so the found has to do with this sort of revelation that from this loss comes these flowers. So it's kind of a mental process that I go through while I'm working. And at the same time, I'm wanting to create some balance in the composition. So what's on the left is on the right, or do I move this over? Do I change the value? And so it's all a process. You give yourself patience and time, and magical things will happen. Now, if you isolate and take one area, let's say the flower on the right, there's a large flower that you can really see the transparency of what I went through in the last video. So I have a dark area. I have a light wash first. Then I add a little darker value in the color, a little more pigment to get a darker value. And then where there's a shadow areas, I add an even darker value. So all within the framework of that one particular color. If you go into a green leaf, you can see where it goes darker in the corners. That's using the complement. You have green, the opposite of red is green, the opposite of green is red. And so by pulling a little bit of red, it turns brown in a green area. Now, you don't have the control over that complementary color like you do in, say, oil painting, but you can create some nice dark areas in your wash areas, no matter what color that you're working with. So I think we'll stop here, and I think it gives you a little information on how to use watercolor. I do recommend experimentation. Not everybody will be working, and this is a pretty tight way of working. Some of you may want to do some looser washes, experimentation with paper towels, and encourage you to do so before you come up with your finished design. So that's it for now. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.